friends, in this live session we will be discussing the Indian Express newspaper of the day as well as of the weekend, because as Saturday Sundays newspaper are covered by us in the Mondays session, so we will be doing that. So let's start with the outline over here. We will be seeing the practice question first, and then we will be moving to the next part, that is basically fact of the day. And after that we have started this new section, that is geography through maps. Herein we will be taking 1 or 2 maps every day, so that would be easy for our revision. So we will try to understand the physical geography as well as the some of the political aspect of the geography as well. Okay, so let's start with the discussion. And these are important articles for us to cover today. Can POSH apply to political parties? When we talk about the prevention of the sexual harassment at the workplace, when we talk about this particular act, there are certain provisions which are giving you the definition of workplace, they are giving you the definition of employee, employer, etc. So considering that, can we apply this particular act to the political parties? Okay, so recently Supreme Court has also when we are talking about the Kerala High Court, they have also given their observation, but recently Supreme Court has also talked about it, so we will be talking about this particular news. Okay, moving further, India lost most favored nation status from Switzerland. Okay, so when we talk about this particular article over here, we will be seeing that what is most favored nation status. We will be seeing why Switzerland has actually removed India from it. Okay, so we will be talking about that as well. Then coming to the next one, what are Santa Ana winds? Okay, now Santa Ana winds are basically, you can say, when we are talking about the local winds, this is one of them, and this is found in the part of the California. Okay, so we will be talking about that, and we will be seeing that why is that there are these fires which are there recently and how this particular winds are impacting them. Okay, here you can see, this is the front page of the newspaper. Fadnavis government induct 39 minister mid-term review to decide their tenure. So this is a political news, we will not go into it. Then coming to this particular one, Disa Naike reaches Delhi, his first foreign trip after coming to power, pact redid. Okay, so when we are talking about this particular article, this is related to the Sri Lankan president, and he has visited recently in India. So we will be talking about the India-Sri Lanka relations over here. Okay, now let's start with the first practice question. What majority is required in both house of the parliament to pass a motion to impeach a judge? Okay, now talking about the judge's removal, recently we have talked about one incident which has happened wherein in Rajya Sabha a motion has been put forward for the impeachment of a high court judge. Okay, so considering that, here you can see what kind of majority is required in both the houses. Okay, so that is a kind of a special majority of total membership and 2/3 of the member present and voting. Option C would be your right answer over here. Okay, now let's move further. As you know that we have shifted our classes from Mukherjee Nagar to Noida sector 15, and batches are going on, so you can go and visit the center and take admissions. If you need any kind of information or clearance or inquiry, you can call on this number, that is 9311406440. Address is C171/2 Block A Sector 15 Noida. Okay, other than that, we are having these particular GS foundation courses for UPSC at Prayagraj Center. We are starting from 2nd January 2025. Hindi and English medium. Hindi medium timing is 6 p.m. English medium it is 5:30 p.m. At Lucknow Center it is starting on 23rd December 2024, and Hindi and English medium batches are there. 11:30 a.m. is the timing. And for Karol Bagh Center, that is in New Delhi, 23rd December 2024, we are starting a course for the English medium at 8 a.m. Okay, so you can visit the center and get yourself enrolled. Now let's move further and start with the fact of the day. Now, ghost gun. Recently it has been seen that because of the 3D modeling or the 3D printing, there are components of the guns which are being actually made by the 3D printing. Okay, but then what is happening is that these components are built and they are assembled. Okay, and that is giving result to the functioning gun. Okay, now when we are talking about the gun manufacturing, you know that this is an arena wherein you will be giving a serial number to a gun. Okay, there will be a particular identity which will be attached on the gun. Okay, now when we are talking about this 3D printing, there are non-social element or anti-social elements which are printing these guns. There is no serial number, so there is no way you can track them. Okay, so there is no way you can trace them, track them, or actually if there is a crime which is committed by this gun, you will not be able to find the murder weapon. Now considering this is a cause of concern, and these guns without serial numbers are called as the ghost guns. Okay, now see how they are being printed through the 3D technology. Ghost guns are the untraceable firearms assembled at home, often using kits or 3D printed parts. Now lack serial number. As I told you, there is no serial number, making them difficult for law enforcement to track. Printing enables ghost guns. When we are talking about the 3D printing, they have been using 3D printing for you can say making these guns. In the context of firearms, 3D printers can produce components like receiver, barrel or grips using materials such as plastic or metal. These parts, when combined with other easily sourced component, and create a functional firearm. Now this is a concern for us, and these guns or which are assembled like this and they do not have serial number, these are called as the ghost guns. Okay, ghost gun pose serious safety risk, with advocacy groups labeling them as fastest growing gun safety problem. Okay, so this is about your ghost gun. This term can be asked in any examination, so I have discussed it over here. Okay, now let's move further and see the next part, that is geography through map. Yesterday we have seen, or the last class we have seen that what is the location of India with respect to the world map. Okay, so we have seen that we are in the northeastern hemisphere. Okay, now we will be, after that I have told you that there is one of the line which is passing through the India, that is Tropic of Cancer, and we have seen that it is passing through different states, and we have talked about that as well. Now we will be looking at the neighboring states. Now this will be, you must be feeling like this is very simple things. Why we are addressing all these things? Because when you are in exam pressure, there are high chances that you make mistakes. So if you have the visual representation of such things, that will be easy for you to remember. Okay, so now when we are talking about India, there are various countries which are in the neighborhood of us. Okay, when we talk about the terrestrial boundaries, okay, that is the land boundaries. Okay, so we are making land boundaries with Pakistan. Here small portion over here we are making boundary with Afghanistan as well. Okay, coming to the next one, we are having a boundary with Nepal, we have boundary with China, we have boundary with Bhutan. Okay, earlier when we are talking about, now Tibet has been occupied by China, but we had the boundary with Tibet as well. Now coming to the next one, here we have boundary with the Bangladesh. Okay, we have already seen Bhutan. Okay, this is Bhutan, this is Bhutan, this is Sikkim. Okay, so please remember this is India's part. Okay, there are certain maps which will be showing that there will be LAC and LOC on the maps. Okay, so these are the representation of the de facto boundaries. Okay, this is the real boundary of India. Okay, so we can say that this particular portion over here, that is Afghanistan, is also having boundary with India. Okay, now when we talk about the other nation, that is Myanmar. So here you can see how many countries we are making land boundary with. So one is Afghanistan, second is Pakistan, third is Nepal, fourth is China, then we have Bhutan, fifth, sixth is Bangladesh, and then we have Myanmar. Now with them we have land boundaries. Now in the neighborhood there are other countries as well, that is Maldives. Now with Maldives we have the marine boundary here over here, and then we have Sri Lanka over here. Okay, so these are the neighboring countries of India which you have to remember. Now if we talk about the longest boundary, so you will tell me in the comment box that with which country we have the longest boundary, land boundary. Okay, so that is about the today's geography. Now coming to the first article, that does POSH apply to political parties? Here is what you have to know. Now Supreme Court has recently been in the Supreme Court there was this petition which has been filed. Okay, and in this petition it was you can say pleaded that the POSH should be applied to political parties as well. Now we will be seeing that what is the concern over here and what courts earlier has said. So there was this one case wherein in Kerala court has given their observations. So here you can see the name of the case is Center for Constitutional Rights Research and Advocacy versus State of Kerala. In this particular case, it has you can say asked for establishment of the ICC. Okay, that is Internal Complaint Committees. Internal Complaints Committees. Now I'm just assuming that you know what is POSH, okay, because this is very basic thing which you should know. Otherwise also when we are talking about the prevention of sexual harassment, so at workplaces you are not supposed to harass a woman. As a matter of fact, you are not supposed to harass a woman anywhere. Okay, the thing is eve teasing, harassment, these are all criminal offenses. You should be aware of that. Now when we talk about specifically of the workplace, now these are the places where employee and employer has a relationship. If you are going for the complaint, that might affect that particular relationship, and considering that a special protection has been provided with the name, that is POSH Act. Okay, so here you can see the Supreme Court last week heard a PIL stating that the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and the Redressal Act 2013 POSH Act, okay, that should apply to the political parties or not. Okay, now directed the petitioner that to first you can approach to the ECI. Now when we talk about the political parties, registered political parties, etc., ECI, Election Commission of India, is the authority. Okay. Now if you are going for the internal mechanism inside a political party and which is being regulated by Election Commission of India, so here Supreme Court has said that first approach the Election Commission of India. What they does, if they don't do anything, then there will be another recourse or the grievance registered with the Supreme Court. Now here you can see they directed the petitioner to first approach the Election Commission of India as they were the competent authority to prevail upon the recognized political parties for creation of an in-house mechanism to deal with the complaints of sexual harassment in a way which are consistent with the provisions of the POSH Act. Okay, so that is what Supreme Court has said. Now when we talk about the POSH Act, there is this provision which requires that there should be a internal complaint committee which should be set up inside a organization, be it public or private. Okay, now when we are talking about these organizations, these are the workplace. Okay, and in the act it has been defined what is workplace, and it is giving a, you can say, expensive definition over there. So that is including public as well as the private institutions as well. Now coming to the political party, when we are talking about the political party, whether it will be under the definition of workplace or not, that is has to be decided over here. Now let's see. POSH Act requires both private as well as the public workplace to set up internal complaint committee to hear the complaints of sexual harassment. Political parties internal complaint committees to address sexual harassment is inconsistent. Okay, so here you can say when we are talking about the questions that claims when it comes to the political parties, there is, when we talk about the internal complaint committees or any kind of internal mechanism, that is inconsistent, and that is why this case has been filed. Now who does the POSH Act apply to? On whom this particular act will apply? So here you can say section 3 clause 1 of the POSH Act says that no woman shall be subjected to sexual harassment at any workplace. Now there is the definition of workplace which is given in the POSH Act, and now this is an expensive definition. It includes organizations, institutions and other public sector bodies established, owned, controlled wholly or substantially by the financed by the funds of the government. So basically, if there is a body which is government owned, controlled or substantially or in a way it is been financed by the government, okay, so such institutions, organizations are under the POSH. Other than that also they are saying that organizations in private sector, hospitals, nursing homes, sports events, houses, these are also under the POSH Act. Okay, now location visited by the employee during the course of employment. If there is a person on a field trip they are going, okay, or let's say they are going on a business trip to some other city, in that case also that particular place where this you can say the business is being attended to, that will also be concluded as the workplace. Okay, so that is the definition of workplace which has been given in this particular act. Now when we are talking about the political parties, whether they are workplace or not, that is unclear. So here you can see Kerala High Court in Center for Constitutional Research and Advocacy versus State of Kerala, they have addressed this question whether they will be workplace or not. Okay, here they have said that there are certain things which are making it difficult for POSH to apply in the political party. So let's see. This particular case was seeking the establishment of ICC in the television, film news and the political organizations. Now they are saying that there is no, court has said, the Kerala High Court over here has said that there is no employer-employee relationship with its member. Now when we are talking about the political parties, you know that there are party workers. These party workers, they do not have a direct interaction with the high level you can say leaders of the political parties. Okay, so there is no definitive employee-employer relationship. Now you know that there are political or party workers which used to shift from one party to another, then who will be the employer? So all these things are there. So there is no employer-employee relations with the member, and political parties do not carry out any private venture, undertaking, enterprise, institutional establishment, etc. in contemplation of a workplace. Okay, now when we are talking about the workplace, that means that there should be you can say employee-employer relation. That means that you are giving your services and employer is giving you the salary. Now when we are talking about these party workers, there is no fixed salaries which is being given. Okay, so all these things are there which is making it difficult for us to apply POSH in the political parties. Now political parties are not liable to make any internal complaint committees, which has been said by the Kerala High Court back then. Okay, now could the POSH Act apply to a political party? Can we apply it? So yes, when we are saying that any place where you are going for the work. Okay, and then definition is been expanded over here, which is saying that here you can see location visited by an employee during the course of employment. Now, if there is a location which is visited, because when we are talking about these party workers, they have to visit from one place to another, one constituency to another. So most of the work is field work. Okay, so here you can see that location visited by an employee during the course of employment. Now, who will be the employer? How will you decide that who will be the employer? In that case, every party has an inbuilt hierarchy in that. Okay, in their own constitution there are certain hierarchies which are mentioned. So when we are talking about that particular hierarchy, we can look into it and we can find that there is a employer. Now we can say that if there is not a particular person, but there is a particular position, that can be an employer, and the person who is holding that particular position, that can be considered as the employer. So let's see over here. Now, POSH Act is meant to protect women from sexual harassment in the workplace. What is a workplace when it comes to the political parties? So, as I told you, they mostly operate on the fields without a defined workplace. If the court or the ECI does decide to make POSH applicable, who are the employer? That is the question which has been asked over here. As employer is responsible for the setting up of the ICC, because when we are talking about the internal complaint committees, who will be forming these internal complaint committees? That is employer. Now first question is that who is the employer? Okay, now in theory POSH can be applied to the political parties as well, because when we talk about the workplace under the POSH Act, it includes the location visited by the employee during the course of employment as well, to extend the to political parties workers which are working in the field. So we can say that yes, definition can be extended over here. Okay, now wide definition of the term employee includes people who are employed temporarily, contract workers, volunteers with or without the knowledge of the principal employer. Now in the definition of employee as well, we have discussed the workplace definition, we have discussed the employer definition, and who is the employee. Now in that employees definition, they have included that who are employed temporarily also, and the contract workers and the volunteers as well. So all these person volunteers, if they are not being paid something, so these party workers can be those volunteers as well. Okay, now party constitution has a hierarchy which from where you can find an employer. Okay, now coming to the next one, at present how do parties handle the sexual harassment offences, etc. So basically there are internal disciplinary committees which are there. Okay, and there are broad categories like here you can say breach of discipline, here you can see acting in a way calculated to lower the prestige of the party, or being guilty of offences involving moral turpitude. Now under these categories they have the you can say sexual harassment as well. Now that is why they have not made it discreet, they have not made it explicit over here, and that is why we are thinking of applying POSH to the political parties as well. So now we have seen that yes, employee can be considered as a volunteer, and that can be a party worker as well. Okay, employer can be the person who is at the in the hierarchy of the political party or the internal hierarchy which is there. So on the basis of that we can see that who is the you can say employer over here. And the workplace definition which has been extended over here, we can see that the location visited by the employee during the course of employment. So we can say that considering all that, political parties or you can say POSH can be applied to the political parties. Now we will see what Election Commission of India does to see into this particular or the into the merit of the petition, and then we will be seeing that whether they apply it or not, and if not, then whether Supreme Court will apply it or not. Okay, so that is the issue related to the POSH. Okay, now we can move further to the next one, that is basically the Nestle case fallout. Switzerland suspends most favored nation status to India in tax avoidance agreement. Okay, now this is just one incident which has happened wherein the Switzerland has suspended the most favored nation in you can say status. Now what is the impact, etc. we will be looking into it. First we will be seeing that why they have suspended it. Okay, now in Supreme Court in one case has said that for this particular agreement to work, it has to be notified first. Okay, and then only you will be taking the advantage. Now there are, when we talk about the most favored nation status, that means that there are certain privileges which we are giving to other countries, that should be given to the Switzerland as well. Okay, that is the most favored nation status. Okay, now they are saying that for this particular agreement to be implemented, it has to be notified first. Till the time they will not be getting any kind of benefits over here, and because of which Switzerland has actually withdrawn the most favored nation status, because they were giving you that particular benefits. Okay, so because of the non reciprocity they have revoked this particular status. Okay, so let's see. in what could potentially impact Swiss investment in India and the higher taxes on Indian companies operating in Switzerland starting January 1st, 2025. Bern has suspended the most favored nation clause in the double taxation avoidance agreement that India and Switzerland has entered into originally in 1994 and amended in 2010. Now there was this agreement, that is your double tax avoidance agreement. Agreement is still there, they have just revoked the most favored nation status. Okay. Now this decision follows a ruling by the Indian Supreme Court last year, which determined that the DTAA cannot be enforced unless it is notified under the Income Tax Act. Okay, so first you have to notify it under the Income Tax Act and then only you can enforce it. Now the problem is, by the time you are not going for the notification, that means that you are not able to enforce it and you are not giving any kind of benefits. Now Switzerland was giving you these benefits, because of the non-reciprocity they have withdrawn this status. As a result, Swiss companies such as Nestle faces higher taxes on the dividend. Now if you have the MFN status, that means that there will be some kind of benefits, that is lower tax. Okay, and there are some investments which will be facing lower tax. Okay, so that is why basically they are saying that this particular initiative or this particular status was working in one way and they have revoked it. Now he said that the Switzerland is of the view that it is not receiving the same treatment that India grants to other countries with more favorable tax treaties, and the main reason behind this is reciprocity, which ensures that the taxpayers in both countries are treated equally and fairly. So basically there are, when we are talking about these agreements we have with other countries as well, and because of this issue of notification we are not giving these benefits to Switzerland, and that is why they are saying that you are not going for the reciprocity, and that is why they have revoked it. Now likely impact of the move, so obviously the investments of the Indian investments over there, they will have to pay more tax, and the Swiss investment which are over here in India, they have to pay more tax. Okay, so basically this will somehow will impact the trade and the investments. Okay, now moving further, here we will be seeing that what is the most favored nation status. Here you can see a requirement that countries providing a trade concession to one trading partner extend the same treatment to the others. Okay, now this is the requirement when we will be seeing a most favored nation. Let's say you are having some kind of agreement with USA. Okay, and in that you are giving some kind of benefits to the USA. Now if a country like Switzerland is giving you a most favored nation status, that means that you have to give these benefits to the Switzerland as well. Okay, so this is basically your most favored nation status. Okay, again a requirement that countries providing a trade concession to one trading partner, a trade concession to one trading partner, that means that you are giving some benefits to USA in a separate you can say agreement, extend the same treatment to the others. Now this particular treatment has to be you can say extended to other countries, let's say Switzerland, or if there is any other country XYZ with which we have the most favored nation status. Okay, or they have given us the most favored nation status. Okay, so basically it is you are giving the similar treatment to both the partners or all the partners. Okay, so that is your most favored nation clause. Now impacts on India. Indian companies in Switzerland like TCS, Infosys may have to pay higher taxes on the dividends and the other incomes. Swiss companies like which are there in India like Nestle, ABB might have to face higher tax rates. So basically both of them has to pay the higher tax. Economic consequences, this could reduce the investment between the two countries. Trade and business could become more expensive and complicated. So these are the, you can say, impact of cancelling out this most favored nation status. Now let's move further to the next one, that is role of Santana winds climate change in driving the Malibu fires. Okay, now there is this place Malibu and there are these fire incidents which are happening. We will be seeing that why these incidents are happening and what are the causes. Okay, so let's see. Wealthy coastal town of Malibu, that is there in California, which begin the forest fire has begun on December 9th. Okay, and this is also known as the Franklin fires. Franklin fire, and it has been said that it will take days to control them. Okay, so here you can say more than 4,000 acres has been affected and more than 22,000 people has been affected because of this fire. The exact cause is not been determined yet, but experts are saying that this is because of the Santa Ana winds and the climate change. Okay, now we will be focusing on the Santa Ana winds. When we are talking about the climate change, you know that because of the global warming, because of the the GHG gas emissions or greenhouse gas emissions, the temperature is rising, global warming is happening, because of which the extreme events are happening at the higher frequency. So here you can see the wildfire season in the California has lengthened in the recent years. That means that earlier if it was used to happen for like 1 month or 2 months, now it is increased to 3 months. Okay, second thing is when we talk about the yearly peaks has shifted from August to July. So you can say that this has shifted from August to July. That means that it is coming early. Okay, so that is also there. State's annual burn season has lengthened in the past 2 decades. So first, the season's length is increasing. Second thing is it is approaching even earlier. Earlier it was in August. Now it is approaching in July. Okay, so this is because of the climate change, rise in the global temperature, longer and the more intense dry seasons putting more moisture stress on the vegetation. As a result, forests have become more vulnerable to the fires. Okay, and humans are continuing to go for the GHG emissions. That means that it will enhance in the future as well. There is this one report which you can quote in the examination, that is United Nations report, current climate policies will result in the global warming of more than 3 degrees. We are saying that we have to control it to 1.5 degrees, but this particular report says that by the end of this century this will increase by 3 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this is a United Nations report, you can quote it in the examinations. Now coming to the what is Santa Ana winds. Now hold on, here you can see this is the picture over here. Now there is this great basin. When we talk about the California, this is USA's map. Okay, some part of the USA, because it will be easy for you to understand. So this is basically, you can say, the western coast of USA. Okay, on the western coast we have California, and this is the Californian coast. Okay, this is Los Angeles, this is Californian coast. Okay, and this is the Great Basin. Now from the Great Basin, during this Santa Ana winds, okay, so here you can see there is a high pressure situation which is generated over here. This is a high pressure situation. Okay, and then because of this high, when we talk about the high pressure situations, that means that winds will be flowing outward. Okay, and then winds will go in which direction? Where they will find low pressure. Okay, so from high pressure to low pressure winds are flowing. So here you can say on the coastal region you will be finding a low pressure situation. Okay, now there is high pressure, there is low pressure, so winds are moving from high pressure to low pressure. So here you can say these 3 winds over here, they are moving from Great Basin to the coastal areas. Now there are mountains which are over here. Okay, and when these winds are basically, you can say, let's say this is the mountain, and from mountain they are coming down towards the coast. Okay, and during this particular point of time you will be seeing that these are losing the temperature and they are losing the humidity as well. Okay, and by the time they reach to this particular area, they lose the humidity to the extent of 20%, or you can say it will be left with the only 10% humidity. Okay, this is very less. That means that there will be less water inside the air. This means that there will be dry situations which will be created, and if there is a smallest kind of friction which is there in the forest, that will lead to the forest fires. Okay, because there is no moisture in the environment. Okay, so let's see. Santa Ana winds blows when the high pressure builds over the Great Basin. We have seen that the high pressure is building over the Great Basin, the area between the Rocky Mountains and the Sierra Nevada, a mountain range which is there in the western United States. Okay, now the pressure is low over the California coast. Here you can say the pressure is low on the California coast. The movement of the powerful winds from the basin inland desert east of the north of Southern California over the mountains toward the Pacific. Now from here to here in the coastal region there are some mountains over here, so they will be passing through the mountains. Okay, now as the winds come down the mountain, as I told you, as the wind which is coming down from the mountain, okay, it will see here you can say mountain, it compresses and heated up. The winds humidity also drops, sometimes less than 20% or even less than 10%. So as the cold wind from the top coming towards the bottom or towards the coast, it will start, temperature will start to increase, okay, and then the humidity will start to decrease. And as they come towards the coast, you will be seeing that they will be having humidity up to 10 to 20%, and this is very less, and because of which here you can say the extremely low moisture turns vegetation dry, making it ready to burn. This process helps fuel the flames in the Malibu, and that is the reason the forest fires are happening over here, okay, usually occur from the October to January. So this is basically the idea which was there, which we have to discuss about the Santa Ana winds, okay. So that we have discussed. Now we can move to the next one. So you can remember this particular you can say the topic of the Santa Ana, okay. These are local winds. Most Santa Ana winds events are caused by the high pressure in the Great Basin, lower pressure of the coast of the California. Here high pressure flows to the lower pressure areas, and the gradient or difference and cause the intense winds over here, okay. So that is about the Santa Ana winds, okay. Now let's move further to the next one. EPFO works on a plan to introduce ATM card facilities for the withdrawal of the funds, okay. So this is something which you don't have to worry much, because here government is saying that, or the EPFO, they are saying that if the money which is there in the fund, that is of the people, then why do they need any kind of clearance for that? Because last time there are various incidents which has happened, last year there are various incidents which has happened where the claims has been denied, okay. So why is that? If a person who is contributing to the provident fund and now he will not be able to take the money because of some kind of clearance is not there. So considering that, they have come up with the idea that they will be coming up with the ATM facility. So there will be a limit which will be there, let's say the 50% of the total corpus which is inside the, you can say, fund, you can take 50% of that outside as per your requirement through the ATM facilities. So that has been you can say talked about by the EPFO. Here you can say retirement fund body, employees provident fund organization is working towards rolling out a facility allowing members to withdraw funds from their corpus through ATM cards, okay. That is because there are concerns related to the high rate of rejection of the EPF final settlements, okay. Considering that, they have come up with this idea. They are saying that they will be going for the revival in the infrastructure, technological infrastructure over there, and after that they will be implementing it, that is improving its IT infrastructure, that is EPFO 3.0. then they will be coming with the ATM card facilities, okay. And other than that, also they have also seen that there should be a flexibility here. On the similar lines, EPFO is planning to make pension contribution flexible. If a person want to contribute 10%, 12%, even more, they can do according to their own flexibility. So that has been discussed in this article. So that is nothing much, but just a passing reference to this article. Now US releases national strategies to combat Islamophobia with 100 steps to curb the hate, okay. So let's see what is that. The White House has unveiled first ever national strategy to combat Islamophobia. Recently there was this Palestinian kid which has been killed over here, and considering that there was this you can say Islamophobia situation like are prevailing in USA, and to you can say curtail that or to address that, they have come up with the national strategy to combat Islamophobia, detailing 100 steps to address the hate, violence and the discrimination against the Muslims and the Arab Americans. Key highlights include, here you can see the initiatives mirrored the strategy to combat anti-Semitism released in May 2023. Okay, so there was this anti-Semitism which was prevalent. Then they have come up with this kind of similar strategy over there. On the lines of that strategy, they have come up with the national strategy to combat Islamophobia. Rising hate crimes, including the murder of a 6-year-old Palestinian American boy, prompted this particular move. Okay, now here, what was the objective? The increased public awareness of the Islamophobia, recognize contribution of Muslims and Arab communities, ensure safety and combat violence, integrate anti-hate measures across all sectors of the society. Now basically we have taken this article because in some kind of statement in the UPSC or in any kind of PCS examination, they can ask you that which country has actually came up with the idea of combating the Islamophobia with a strategy. So that is there. And this is having 100 steps. So there is 100 steps strategy to combat Islamophobia in USA. Coming to the next one, Israel strikes Syrian military sites, clear plans to double Golan Heights population. Now here, they have actually strike some more areas in the, when we talk about Israel, Israel has strike some more area in the Iran, and saying that we are targeting the military grade weapons so that it does not goes in the hand of the extremist government which is right now there. There is this you can say interim government which is there, okay, and so you can not say interim government, you can say the de facto control of the Syria is with the extremist as of now. So considering that the Israel has been targeting the various areas over here, now the de facto leaders over here has said that this is an excuse which Israel is using, but we right now we do not want to escalate the situation, we do not want any kind of more confrontations with respect to that. They want to focus on the developmental measures in the Syria. So that is there. Other than that, also Israel has said that they will be going for doubling the population in the Golan Heights area. When we talk about the Golan Heights, I have to make you seen in on various maps. Okay, so Golan Heights is an area, or you can say in the northwest region of Syria. There is this small area which was there, which has been occupied by Israel in 1967 during the 6 Days War. Okay, now this is the Syrian territory which has been occupied by Israel since 1967. Now Israel is saying that we will be shifting people over here, or we will be making settlements over here, okay, so that the Golan Heights can be occupied by the Israelis. Okay, so that is there, which has been discussed in this particular article. Other than that, Russia pulling back from the front lines, not moving out of Syria. Now since obviously you know that the Assad's government or the previous government was supported by Russia and Iran. So now since that government has fallen, Russia is taking a step back. Russia is moving back on the front line, but they are not leaving Syria. There are still some troops which will be there in the, there are 2 bases which will be there in Syria of Russia. Okay, so that is some things about the Middle East situations. Now Drishti IAS reaches Delhi in his first foreign trip after coming to the power. Pact readied. So here you can say there are certain pacts which has been signed by, which will be signed by the Sri Lankan president over here. One of them is on the cyber security. Other than that, there will be total 4 pacts. Okay, this will be the first time visit of the President Drishti IAS to India after the recently concluded presidential and the parliamentary elections in Sri Lanka. Purpose of the visit, if you can see, strengthening the bilateral relations, sign 4 key agreements, including one on the cyber security, discuss the area of economic cooperation, security and the regional stability with the PM Modi. Context, visit aligns with the mutual goals of the regional cooperation and the stability. You know that earlier Sri Lanka was quite close to China, okay, and because of which they are now dead written, and they are looking for the other opportunities as well. India's proactive support aims to maintain its influence amid the geopolitical challenges in the Indian Ocean region. When we are talking about the geopolitical challenges in the Indian Ocean region, that is basically related to the rising influence of the China. We are trying to combat it. Okay, now moving further, here you can say strategic insights. So if you look into this particular discussion, so there are discussions which will be focused on, because he will be meeting to the Prime Minister, economic recovery for Sri Lanka. Okay, India has already given previously $4 billion in aid to stabilize the Sri Lanka's economy. Okay, that is a debt ridden economy right now. And moving further, enhancing trade, investment and the regional security, Tamil minority rights in Sri Lanka. Discussion will be there on the Tamil minority rights in the Sri Lanka. With respect to that, you must know what is 13th amendment. So that is your job to go and find out about the 13th amendment. Okay. Now President Drishti IAS emphasized that the Sri Lanka's commitment to India's strategic interest, addressing concerns over the Chinese influence in the region. Okay. So this is about this particular meeting, which is supposed to happen. If there is something concrete which will happen, we will be having a look at that as well. Okay. Now here moving further, you can see there is this map which is there. These are some of the important ports which are there in you can say Sri Lanka. Okay, Kanke Santurai, we are having a ferry service which will be started between the India and Sri Lanka. We will be talking about that. Okay, then Point Pedro is there. Then here you can say Trikomali in Hambantota, which is there in the under the lease of 99 years with China. Okay, then the port of Colombo and the port of Gale. Okay, when we are talking about the Colombo port, we are also having investments over there. Now coming to the next one, India Sri Lanka ferry service. As I told you, with Kanke Santurai we will be having a ferry service. So from the Nagapattinam to Kanke Santurai, okay. So there is this ferry service which is there. Okay, this is the Park Strait. This is Sri Lanka. This is India. One more you can say island which is there, which is quite important for us. That is Kachadivu Island. Okay, so here we have this Kachadivu Island in the Park Strait. Okay, and this is disputed between India and Sri Lanka. It was mentioned in the news recently as well. And then there is this particular area, Wedge Bank. Okay, so this is also important for us to remember. So these are some of the areas which are in news and they are related to the India Sri Lanka you can say relations. Okay, now coming to the next part over here, northeastern routes cut down the shipping time cost, promises to boost the India Russia trade. Okay, now if we are talking about the India Russia trade or the India Russia oil trade, we have surpassed the Russia China trade with respect to the oil. Okay, so because why? Because we are having this Eastern Maritime Corridor now. So here you can see I will be giving you a reference. Earlier if you have to go to Russia, so you have to start with Indian coast and then you have to go through the Red Sea, then Mediterranean, and ultimately then you will be going to this particular area from the you can say North Channel over here and the Arctic you can say Arctic Sea, and then ultimately you will be reaching to Russia's St. Petersburg. Okay, so this is an important port. This was the existing route. Okay, now it is written over here proposed route, but we have already started shipments from this particular route. Okay, so that is from Chennai. Okay, and you know, going through the Southeast Asian region, and then ultimately over here that is basically your Vladivostok. Vladivostok, this is the place or this is a port of Russia in the far east, and we are connected with that particular port from China, and we are actually capitalizing the other ports as well. Here you can say Chennai port, Paradip, Vizag, Tuticorin, Ennore and Kolkata. These are all the ports which are there on the eastern coast of India, and from eastern coast here you can say from any area over here we can be capitalizing this particular region for the trade with Russia. Okay, so that has been one of the situation. Because of this particular route, you will be saying that distance has been decreased to earlier it was nearly around 8,675 miles. Okay, now this has been reduced to 3,028 nautical miles. Other than that, earlier it used to take nearly 40 days. Now it is taking 24 days. So there is a 16 days gap, or you can say there is a you can say benefit which will be getting of the time as well. Okay, so this is about the situation with respect to Russia and India trade. Okay, midway through 2024, as India surpassed the China to become the largest buyer of the Russian oil, the operationalization of the new sea route, that is Eastern Maritime Corridor. This particular corridor is called as the Eastern Maritime Corridor. Okay, is beginning to play an increasingly significant role in boosting the commodity trade between the two countries. We have already started from Chennai to Vladivostok. Okay, saving 2 counts, that is shipment time, and second is on the transportation cost. Okay, now in the crude, coal and LNG we have already started the trade, and in the fields like fertilizer and the you can say containerized cargoes also we had taken a little bit more time, but we have started with that as well. Okay, so by 2024 we have started this particular you can say trade with in this particular route. Okay, the time taken has come down from 40 days to 24 days, which we have seen. Now these are some of the data with respect to the export and import with respect to India and the Russia trade. So you can go through this particular data, or you can keep this table for your India Russia relationship. Okay, because they are talking about what kind of exports are there, what kind of imports are there, so that you can actually have a note of. Okay, now we can move further. For your own read, there are 2 articles which are there. Dispute over the Kalyan's Durgadi fort, why courts sided with the government over here. So there was this fort, that is Durgadi fort. Okay, so you can talk this is there in Maharashtra. Okay, there is this place Kalyan near Mumbai. Okay, so you can keep a note of that. You can go through this particular you can say article. If you are not interested much, you can just read like over here. Okay, so this will be giving you the idea about the history of this particular fort. Okay, so you can go through this. Other than that, there is this another article, that is first ice free day in Arctic could occur before 2030. Why does it matter? So you can go through this article. Otherwise, you can watch this video of In Focus, which is there on our YouTube channel, okay, where we have covered this particular article. Okay, so with that, I would like to take your leave. We will be having a practice question for you, which you can see over here. What are the Santa Ana winds? Moist winds blowing from the Pacific Ocean towards the coast. B. Warm and dry winds blowing from the Great Basin towards the California coast. C. Winds that originates in the desert of Africa and impacts USA. And D is moist winds that brings rains to the Californian in winters. So we have talked about this particular situation, and so you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you and study well. And if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Thank you.